So I thought we'd do a review of the Astrolux MF-01 Mini flashlight torch. This is the green colour, although perhaps looking a little beige in this light. So it's a multi-LED light with lots of little tear optics in there. I think they're SST20s. This flashlight can run on a single 18650, a 21700 or a 26650, which is what I'm running tonight in it. It's quite a nice small compact flashlight. You know, it's sort of pocket friendly but a bit chunky, so I thought we'd give it a bit of a whirl and sort of see what it does. So when you have the light in standby mode, you can see you've got an option to have it light up some colours on the front here. I think there's a few different modes here, different brightnesses. You can make them blink. Also the side button lights up. It's kind of a nice idea. I'm not sure I'm 100% sold on the electronic buttons. You do get some battery loss, so if you leave the torch on the shelf or in the drawer for a while, you know, you want to make sure you take the battery out, or at least unscrew the cap a bit, because they will go flat. I've managed to ruin a few batteries recently by forgetting that I'd got a battery in a torch with an electronic switch. But yeah, it's kind of a neat function. You can turn this off as well as a way of doing a series of clicks to program it. And I think that's another thing we'll start off with, is we do a single click and you can just see we've got some low level light coming out. So that's the low mode, and this has got a ramping mode on it, so if you click and hold, we'll see the brightness magically increase with a little flicker when it gets to the top. It's pretty good. There's no real discernible hotspot, it's just a nice big flood of light. This is the 6500K, so it is the coolest, but actually it's not bad even out here. I think the camera's making it look a bit more yellow light than it really is. The actual eye does make the colours look a little bit more bleached than on camera, but it's not too bad. Although I have found that when you do lower it down, the brightness does tend to go a little bit more green as you get dimmer. Again, I don't think it's actually going to show on the camera here. So the ramping's pretty cool on this. Yeah, if you give it a double click, it should also go to its maximum turbo brightness. And as you can see, like, we're reaching out to those trees. I'm not quite sure how far away they are from here, but it's lighting them up really good. Up close, it's probably too bright, and it just lights up everything in front of you. Very impressive. Although on the turbo mode it does start to get a bit toasty quite quick. I don't think you'd want to run it at this level for a huge amount of time. I think my biggest complaint with it, if it's really a complaint, is the UI. I know the guys in the flashlight community are always keen to sort of program and expand the light's capabilities, but it does make for a complex UI. There's loads of modes on this, loads of ways to program it. If you don't remember to take a picture or scan in the instructions when you buy it, I'm sure a year later you're going to forget how to use it. I've been using this light a few days now, and I found that even then I still end up making a mistake sometimes when I want to turn it on, you know, and you end up going too bright, or, you know, it's not coming on the mode you want. Okay, so that time I've managed to get it to come really dim. I'm not entirely sure how I actually managed to do it. Single click seems to be bringing this up high. I think it's because it's got a memory mode on it as well. You know, it's pretty cool, but I don't know. Sometimes just an on-off switch works. I think if you're using this light all the time, or you've got lots of lights with this UI, it's a good UI. But yeah, I think sometimes they just need to take a step back. It's not so much just the muggle mode, which I know is another one you can program on here. It just doesn't need to be quite so complicated. But it is pretty cool, and it is a nice pocket friendly size. So I thought we'd do a bit of a comparison as well. So while this is gently warmed up in my hand, I'm going to shut it off and I'm going to grab another torch. So some of you guys might recognise this. So very, very similar size. It's also a 26650 battery, and I'm sure with the appropriate insert you could run an 18650 or a 21700. This is actually a FourSevens light. This one is known as a Malestrom. It's a few years old now. I've owned it for quite a while, and it's got an SST90. It's a huge, great big single LED and a reflector in there. But the reason I thought it'd be a good comparison is they're really similar size. So if I can just grab both torches at once. So there's not a lot in it. The reflector makes the Malestrom a little bit longer. I'll be holding it a bit unfairly there. They're very similar sort of weight and chunkiness in the pocket. And the FourSevens has been one of my favourite lights as a sort of a pocket outdoor light. I really like the UI on this one as well. It just has a momentary switch at the back, and if you want to turn it on full, you just screw the cap down. 2 modes. I think one of them comes in at about 200 lumens and the other one is at max lumens, which I kind of forget what the figures are these days. Certainly well below what the new Astrolux is, but it's still impressive for a single emitter light, and one from at least 5-6 years ago. So we'll do a little bit of a comparison and see how they fare. Okay, so here we are with the FourSevens MMU Malestrom. So I say it's got a really simple UI. You just push the button down for a momentary, push it again, and you get the low mode. So high and low, so that's the lowest output. It is just reaching out to the trees out there, but you probably can't see that on the camera. And if we go back to high, you can see we've got a nice big beam. So it's more of a traditional beam because we've got the reflector there rather than using the tear optics like the MF-01 Mini. But the SST90 does give this huge hotspot and quite a bright spill. And as you can see, we're reaching out to the trees pretty good as well. So it's kind of impressive to see how technology has and hasn't moved on. Definitely the MMU is a light that doesn't get quite so toasty in your hands. You can have it on for extended periods of time. Okay, so let's leave you in the dark for a moment and I'll get both of the lights running at once, side by side. Hopefully we can do a little bit of a comparison. I can end up holding both at once, that is. So of course there's no turbo mode on the Malestrom, it is just high and low. As I say, it reaches out to the trees. So we'll bring in the Astrolux as well. We'll just go up to maximum brightness. So you can see you're definitely lighting up more with the MF-01. Similar sort of beam colour. In actual fact, I think the MF-01's got a slightly brighter, slightly better colour rendition. That's probably just due to being a newer torch. Flood, it's difficult to tell. The big hotspot on the SST90 is nice, but the spill is definitely not as bright, whereas you just don't get the hotspot with all those individual emitters. But I think the total area it's lighting up is possibly slightly less. A little bit harder to see it on the camera. You can sort of see the edge of the spill beam there. Whereas if I bring in the Astrolux next to it, you can just see we don't have that, but you can still see the hotspot from the FourSevens there. Of course, we do have the turbo mode as well for the Astrolux. So the MMU is pointing at the right-hand tree there. The Astrolux at the larger tall tree in the centre. I just give it a double click. Right, and they're onto turbo, and that's I think where the real difference is you just got that extra turbo mode, which is really giving you something more than what the FourSevens can actually put out, by quite a difference there. But even just doing that, it's only been running for what, 10 seconds. I can already feel there's quite a bit of heat build up in the Astrolux. I think this turbo mode is very much a show-off mode rather than one you're actually really going to use. So So another little feature on this MF-01 Mini, you have to try and remember all of this. It has a sort of a lockout mode. I have found it, the side switch is very, very easy to activate in your pocket. So if we give this quick 4 clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, it should put it into a lockout mode, which means that it won't activate any longer. So when I push the button, see if we can find it. It also changes the front. It's also got a flashing mode now for the colours. But if I just press it, we've got a momentary, sort of on a candlelight or very, very low mode. Just sort of show you if I can get. So I mean, you know, we are talking really quite dim. I can actually look at it quite comfortably. And then it's just 4 more clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it brings it back to life again. But I say it's a lot to remember, this UI. You know, I think if you do 7 clicks, you can program the coloured lights on the front, or 6 clicks or something puts it into muggle mode. I think if you get yourself confused, you can end up programming it and not even realising you have. So yeah, it's a funky little light, but you've got to lock it or unscrew the cap because it goes off in your pocket. But it is quite nice, easy one-handed operation otherwise. But yeah, it's strange. Has technology moved on? Yes, definitely. Do you know what? I think I prefer the other one. You know, the FourSevens is just simplicity. It's either on or it's off. You've got 2 modes. The momentary works without having to do lots of button clicks. And the beam is still really, really good. In fact, let's turn the MF-01 Mini off, MF-01 Mini off. And we'll go back to this one for a minute. Now, of course, if you're buying a new flashlight today, you can't actually buy the this FourSevens light anymore, so it's not really an option. I just thought it made a neat comparison, bringing out what has been my long-standing favourite outdoor pocket torch against something new, which in the current market is priced not so dissimilarly. It's priced not so dissimilar. You know, I can't remember what I paid for the FourSevens, but it was certainly within the retail price range of the Mini. Build quality wise, both of them seem really good. No complaints there at all.